Every life is shaped by language, not just by what is said to you, but by what you choose to say when you realize that words can move people. And here's today's simple and dangerous question. How do you wield words? Because once you realize that language alters outcomes, you're responsible for what follows. So join me now in and through the Static Seance.
Between stations, neither here nor gone. The hum of voices trapped in the wires, their confessions dissolving into static. A seance not in candlelit rooms, but on flickering screens, where the ghosts don't knock, but distort the signal. Shadows coil in the white noise. If only one dares to alter their own frequency and listen.
Ronove is associated with rhetoric, persuasion, command of speech, and the ability to influence minds. In older texts, he's described as teaching languages and eloquence, but his real domain is power through articulation. He governs the moment that you realize that words are not neutral. They can wound, they can bind, they can ignite or extinguish. And once you learn that, innocence is gone. Ronove doesn't ask whether you can speak well. He asks how you choose to use that ability. Speech reveals intent more than truth. Truth can be bent. Intent leaks through tone, pacing, emphasis, and silence. That's why words shape fate. So you learn that words can dominate. You speak and rooms shift. You provoke and people react. You challenge and structures tremble. That realization can be intoxicating. When you first discover that your voice can shock, disrupt, or destabilize, it feels like agency, like justice, like change. But domination and transformation are not the same thing. And Ronove sits exactly at that crossroads. And when I look at myself, honestly, through my relationship to this question, the answer isn't flattering. There was a time when I used language to shock people awake, shake things up, disrupt complacency. And sometimes that worked. But more often it didn't inspire change. It inspired defense. I spoke sharply because sharpness felt like clarity. I pushed because resistance felt like proof that what I was saying was real. But over time I had to confront the uncomfortable. Shock is not the same as precision. And disruption without direction leaves wreckage. Words used like blades can cut lies, but they also cut trust. Ronove doesn't forbid blades. He asks whether you're choosing them consciously. Language is a bridge, not a weapon, unless you choose it to be one. And that decision carries consequences. There's a moment every rhetorician faces, whether they know it or not, when they realize they can win arguments without moving people. You can dominate a conversation and still lose the outcome you actually wanted. So transformation becomes necessary at that point. For me, that transformation has meant learning restraint without losing intensity. Learning to be thoughtful and controlled without dulling the edge of what I believe needs to change. And that's harder than speaking recklessly. Cruelty is easy. Precision takes discipline. Precision requires asking, what do I want to create? Not just, what do I want to destroy? Ronove teaches that your voice shapes outcomes, whether you intend it to or not. Every word sets conditions. Every phrase selects a future. So the question evolves. Now, in the past, what did your speech wound? Not accidentally, but because it was designed to. What reaction did you value more than relationships? Naming that won't erase it, but it'll integrate it. Now in the present, when does your speech connect? When does it open space instead of closing it? When does it invite movement rather than resistance? Connection is not weakness. It's influence that lasts. So in the future, when will silence speak louder? Because mastery of language includes knowing when not to speak. Silence doesn't have to be absence. It can be punctuation. There are moments when saying less preserves more power than saying everything. Ronove teaches that maturity in speech is not about becoming quiet. It's about becoming intentional. Precision replaces cruelty. Not because you've lost conviction, but because you've gained responsibility. Words are tools of fate. They build narratives people live inside. They justify harm. They initiate healing. They start wars, and they end them. Once you've seen your words change a room, you don't get to pretend that they're harmless again. The destiny Ronove offers is not eloquence for its own sake. It's authorship. You become someone whose speech alters trajectories, and not by overwhelming people, but by meeting them where transformation is possible. And that's the kind of power that doesn't need volume. It needs clarity. So ask yourself honestly, without self-defense, how do you wield words? Do you use them to feel strong? Or do you use them to make others stronger? Do you speak to dominate? Or to build bridges sturdy enough to carry change? Because speech reveals intent more than truth. And your intent is already shaping your future, sentence by sentence. So use that power carefully and use it well.
Dark days of memory, old films that lost their once warm heart. Playground misdemeanor, street corner trash play not the part. Forgotten misery, time to sit no more around and dwell. Your make-believe heaven will burn in my personal